Welcome to Capacity TV. I'm joined by Phill from EdgeConnex. Welcome, Phill.
Thank you.
For those of us, or those of the industry who haven't heard of EdgeConnex, tell us a little bit about what you do.
So EdgeConnex has been around for about 7 or 8 years. We started primarily as a service entity for the cable companies who wanted to sell backhaul to cell towers and tall shiny buildings in North America. About 4.5 years ago, we pivoted to a data center company. So now we build data centers where other people don't. We bring peering capacity, caching, cloud to underserved markets and effectively move the edge of the network closer to the consumers who want to use it.
What's the benefit of being on the edge of the network?
So as traffic has changed over the last years, it used to be just email and web. Over the last 3 or 4 years, it's moved more to content, over-the-top streaming of video and such. And the network was never designed for that level of traffic, and certainly not that contiguous traffic flow. So moving those caches closer to the consumer has been a tremendous increase in service and performance for over-the-top companies and also for the consumers. And now we're seeing that move to the cloud. And cloud is really driving a lot of the traffic flow that we're seeing over the internet right now.
We've been hearing a lot about 5G and IoT and virtual reality and so on. How is that impacting EdgeConnex's strategy in the future?
So for us, the edge isn't just one thing. The edge is constantly moving. So when 5G gets ratified, there'll be a tremendous amount of data that can be moved down to any of these devices. But the backhaul is still going to be fairly congested. So we need to put smaller edge-based containerized systems for those on-ramps as close as possible to the antenna systems. 5G will necessitate millions of new antennas all across Europe and North America. And all of those need to be aggregated back in many, many more places. So that's a perfect opportunity for, again, the content companies to put their caches closer, or the clouds to have their on-ramps much, much closer to those antennas.
Does that mean you'll be working with the mobile companies to put your presence there near their antennas?
We do. That was our original business, helping them with small cell aggregation points, in-building distributed array infrastructure. So now we're going back full circle to where we started. And the edge has moved, so we'll carry on moving with it.
Is it 5G that's going to be the biggest impact, or are there other things like virtual reality and things like that are coming along too that you're having to take into account in your planning?
I think 5G will facilitate virtual reality. Right now, virtual reality is, it's a wonderful thing if you've tried it, but you do need a very high-power computer. You need specialist equipment, the headsets. We're seeing a lot of augmented reality come out now. But it's fairly limited still because the data is still, it's that transmission of data from those cloud entities to that device. So all of that's going to be sped up with 5G, but again, that backhaul needs to be fixed.
And that's your role is working with the backhaul providers to make sure the content is where people need it.
Exactly. We specialize in building the infrastructure for the service entities, whatever that service is. And to us, the edge is really that thin layer of abstraction between the device, whether it's a human or a device, and the service that entity wants to communicate with.
We're here in Europe. Let's turn to what's happening in Europe. And the EU is doing a lot of work. UK is sort of staggering out the door. How is that affecting what you and EdgeConnex are looking for?
Well, as I say, as the network's changing, the traffic flows are changing, and GDPR is having tremendous impacts as to data sovereignty, where that traffic flows, or even where that traffic is housed. So there's a huge growth for data centers for not only the network companies, the cable companies, but also the large hyperscale entities, the service entities. They're having to position their content where those governments or those geographies are requiring it.
So within the legal boundaries,
exactly.
If they say it's personal data, it's got to be in Germany or Ireland or whatever it might be.
Exactly. And new networks are coming in. The hyperscalers are taking a part in those networks. So everything's shifting and changing. But essentially, how we're viewing it is everything is growing. There's just need for more data, more places for data to live, more delivery agencies for data to be moved across.
Is Brexit going to have a particular impact on the way you're looking at things?
Well, we were looking at the UK already, and we're now seeing there's more of a requirement for data centers. More companies are now, instead of just moving out of the UK, they're actually doubling down and putting more content and more services in the UK. So it's, again, more growth for us.
Is that they're backing both horses, but both sides? They're not sure which way it's going to go or what the impact is going to be.
Well, exactly. It's easy bet just to say there's going to be more, and you can't guarantee to serve the UK entity or the UK geography from Amsterdam or Dublin or Brussels or Frankfurt.
Yeah.
It's just going to be where it is.
Okay. So that sounds like a lot of opportunity for you around the world. Which is the most promising place that you're seeing in terms of growth?
I think we see a lot of growth opportunity in Europe. We're continuing to grow dramatically in the Americas region, both into Canada and South America. But Europe, I think, holds a lot more promise for us. In our traditional edge, we see the edge as anything between 2 to 8 megawatts, or the containers, or the hyperscalers. Again, the edge isn't a physical structure for us. The edge is a methodology. It's a mindset of how we deliver content. So as more content's required, we'll deliver more infrastructure.
Phill, thank you for joining us on Capacity TV.
Thank you for having me.